what actions did Egyptians participate in to remove President Hosni Mubarak?
Any opposition in Egypt, any opposition figure has been, one, demonized by the government and the media. These people try. They try to do it in the so-called democracy that Mubarak was saying that we have in Egypt. They tried doing so. They tried to run for election. And the government, what they do best is crack down on anyone who organizes the protest or anyone who is involved in the protest. The thugs that you guys heard of during the revolution, and this is not the first time Egyptians see them. We see them all the time. They come out when there's an election or if there's a protest against the government. So they tried these things and that didn't work. The small protest didn't work. One of the movements called the April 6th movement. This one started in 2000. Another movement called We Are All Khalid Said. And this guy, Khalid Said, he represents the police brutality in Egypt. Khalid Said was an activist who the police came to him and asked him for his ID. And he told them why. Why are you asking for my ID? What did I do? Do you have any court order? Do you have anything? Do you have any paper that requires you to ask for my ID? And but the police officers, in response to him, they took him, beat him to death. Kept on beating him in public, to death. So they took him with them to the police station. A few minutes later, they brought him back, threw him on the floor, on the ground, and they left. And they called an ambulance to come and take him. So that triggered a youth movement by itself, and that happened just last year. That triggered a youth movement called We Are All Khalid Said. And the word Khalid Said, ironically, means eternal happiness. That was his name, Khalid Said, eternal happiness. So this is the life that people were living. So were there any other countries that helped with the protests or actions? No. And rightly so. I'm glad that no one helped. If you know the Egyptian people, they're very proud. They're very proud. If anyone gets involved in their matters, they get really upset. And when CNN and Al Jazeera were asking the people in the protest, what do you need from the US? Or what do you need from Europe? Or what do you need from the other countries? They all said the same thing. Get out of it. Do not get involved. We can solve our own problems. Do not get involved. That was the reply. Even though they know that the United States, for example, has been supporting Mubarak, despite the fact that he is a dictator, despite the fact that the US knows he is a dictator, they've been supporting him for 30 years. But the people did not ask the US to help them now. No, they just wanted them to stay out of it. Like on government level, of course there was pressure. There was pressure from the US, there was pressure from the European Union, on the government level, on Mubarak, on the Egyptian military. There was, of course, there was pressure, and we all saw it. The first few days of the protest, Clinton came out and she said, "Oh, Egypt is a stable country. There's no problem in Egypt." You have Joe Biden came out, and when was asked, do you think Mubarak is a dictator? Straight out, do you think Mubarak is a dictator? He said no, because he helps us with our war on terrorism. That's his definition of what a dictator is. That he does not, if he helps you with the war on terrorism, that he's not a dictator. I mean, it's sad that this is coming from a politician, and especially a vice president of a country like the US. When Joe Biden comes and says something like that, I mean, you have at least play politics for God's sake and go and don't answer the question. So this is the first few days of the protest. But then all of a sudden we saw a shift, because now in the streets, without any help, the people were taking over. They cornered Mubarak and his regime to the point that Mubarak came out and he said, okay, I'm gonna dissolve the government, I'm gonna have a vice president. Even though you guys were asking me to have a vice president for the past 30 years, I'm finally having a vice president now. And I'm gonna dissolve the government. I'm gonna form a new government from the old one. If Mubarak had done that the first day of the protest, people would have calmed down. But the problem, he did that after hundreds of people were dead. At that point, that was on Friday night. At that point, there was more than 100 Egyptians that were killed. It was too late. You should have done that a week before. So they cornered him, and that's the point where the U.S. foreign policy started to change towards a little bit towards the people. There were still people have the right to protest, but Mubarak is our ally. This is if you guys are familiar with the Iranian Revolution, that's what Jimmy Carter did, and that was the biggest mistake he made was that he kept on saying we are with the people. The people have the right to protest and call for democracy. But we support the Shah. He's our ally. And guess what? The revolution won, and he ended up having people who hate the U.S. because of it. Because he kept on supporting the dictator. But I am glad that at least the Obama administration changed at the end of it. They started moving towards the people more and more. So I'm going to give that much to the Obama administration. At the beginning, they were horrible. It was so bad how they handled the situation. But at the end, they switched towards the side of the people and start pressuring the Egyptian government to do something about it. So no, there was no help on the ground. Yes, there was help on the government level, on the pressure. The third help that I think was very important was the media. The media was very, very important. If it wasn't for Anisha Cooper and Christiana Mampour and CNN and Al Jazeera and all of this media outlets that was there on the ground, Mubarak would have committed a massacre to these people in the Tahrir Square. He would have just called them massacred every single human being in Tahrir Square. But he didn't. Why? Because of the media. Because CNN was there. Because Al Jazeera was there. So in an indirect way, the media helped. I think social media, with it, I think government gains legitimacy. What does that mean? I mean, you have the government should be run by the people or the people, right? People vote for the government to be in power. So in a way, the government is empowered by the people. In a way, it reflects what's happening on the ground. And yeah, it takes away some power out of these people, but only in regimes that are oppressive. If regime is oppressive, then the social media will take power from the regime, because now these people can
on all levels, from lower, middle, and upper class in Egypt.
The Egyptian economy depends on multiple things. That's important. Three are the Suez Canal, tourism, and foreign investment. Suez Canal is not going to be really effective pre or after the revolution. It's going to still be. This is world economy. That's not effective. Tourism. I hope that when Egypt becomes stable, as a stable country, that more people will not be afraid to go to Egypt. That they all wanted to go to Egypt. They all wanted to go see the pyramids. They all want to see all of these ancient civilization in Egypt. So more people will be interested in Egypt to see. So I'm hoping there will be increase in tourism in Egypt. Third thing is foreign investment, and this has been a problem in Egypt, because with no democracy and no transparency, people they don't want to risk the dictator in the country. If the dictator leaves, no one knows what's going to happen to this country. So foreign investors were afraid to go to Egypt. So now I'm hoping with democracy and transparency, more people will be interested to go to Egypt and invest in Egypt. Another thing, corruption. There was so much corruption in Egypt, you have no idea. There are reports that says 40% of Egyptian income or economy is not reported. No one knows anything about it. 40%. No one knows where it goes. It's not even reported in the media. No one knows where it goes. If you put back this 40%, then yeah, you're gonna get more people to work. You're gonna open more factories. You're gonna open. And another thing also about foreign investment, according to Egyptian law, 51% of the business has to be owned by an Egyptian, and 49% by the foreign investor. So who gets the 51%? Mubarak, Gamal Mubarak, his son, Ala Mubarak, his friends, Ahmed Az, all of the gang around Mubarak. These are the ones who get that 51%. Without corruption, then you'll be able to get the foreign investors, and you'll be willing to take the risk to open business.
How has the actions of the Egyptian military helped aid the People's Revolution? Because reading about everything that's going on, sometimes people in the military will disobey orders to help quell a riot and things like that. If the military had been opposing the people's protests, do you think it would have been as successful as it has been so far?
The military would have massacred them if they were against the revolution. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, the police had the orders to massacre the people, but the people overpowered them. If the military was against the revolution, it would have massacred them. And I think that was the point of taking the media out. Because they wanted the media out and have the military massacre them. And the military, according to some reports, had orders to shoot at them. But they refused. They said, no, we're not doing it. They sided with the people. They said, no, we're not shooting. The same thing happened in Tunisia. They had orders from Ben Ali to shoot the people. And they said, no, we're not doing it. Your police might do it, but we're not doing it. The problem with the police is that they've been brainwashed over the years, over the past 30 years, that what you're doing is for the better of the country. You go and beat these people, and the police officers are not bad. If you think about it, my brother is a police officer in Egypt, my uncle, my cousin is a police officer in Egypt. These people are not bad, but a lot of them have been brainwashed that if anything happens to Mubarak's regime, we're going to be like Iran. The Muslim Brotherhood is going to take over, and we're going to be like Iran. So it's better that we have Mubarak. It's better that we have a dictator. If we have democracy, we're going to have Muslim Brotherhood. And if you argue with them, when 90% of the people are against the Muslim Brotherhood, why do you think they're gonna take over if they're only like a small percentage, 10-20%? How do you think they're gonna take over? No. They're very well organized. Even though there's not that many people, they're very organized. So they're gonna take over. They got brainwashed. So they actually believe that what they're doing is for the better of the country. While when he said the same thing, the Google executive who was behind the All Khaled Saeed page on Facebook that called for the protest, he was detained 2 days after the protest, and he's blindfolded for 12 days straight. 12 days blindfolded and handcuffed. And he was telling the people that these people that were interrogating him truly believed that they were saving Egypt. That they truly believed that he was a foreign agent. These people do not hate Egypt. These people are brainwashed, thinking that by keeping Mubarak, you're keeping the peace.